is Monday. That makes it Motivation Monday. Glad to have everybody back with me. Hope you all had a fantastic holiday weekend. Keck here with Builderall, your information products training and support specialist. Welcome aboard. Today for Motivation Monday, we're going to talk about a really cool book that hopefully will help us get the new year started off right. The book is called Tiny Habits: The Small Changes That Change Everything by BJ Fogg, PhD. So let's get right into it. We'll start with a quote from the book. Tiny is mighty, at least when it comes to change. Over the last 20 years, I found that most everyone wants to make some kind of change. Eat healthier, lose weight, exercise more, reduce stress, get better sleep. We want to be better parents and partners. We want to be more productive and creative. But the alarming levels of obesity, sleeplessness, and stress reported by the media and seen in the Stanford Labs research tells me there's a painful gap between what people want and what they actually do. The disconnect between want and do has been blamed on a lot of things, but people blame it on themselves for the most part. They internalize the cultural message of, it's your fault. You should exercise more, but you're not doing it. Shame on you. I'm here to say it isn't your fault. And creative, positive change isn't as hard as you think. So that's a quote from the author BJ Fogg from the book Tiny Habits. So in this book, we're going to check out the following big ideas. First off, B equals map, the elements of behavior. ABCs, the anatomy of tiny habits. Anchor prompts. After I anchor, I will new habit. Get your shine on. Don't forget to celebrate. All right, let's start with the first one, the elements of behavior. B equals map. You can change your life by changing your behaviors. You know that. But what you may not know is that there are only 3 variables that drive those behaviors. The Fogg behavior model is the key to unlocking that mystery. It represents the 3 universal elements of behavior and their relationship to one another. It's based on principles that show us how these elements work together to drive our every action, from flossing one tooth to running a marathon. Once you understand the behavior model, you can analyze why a behavior happened, which means you can stop blaming your behavior on the wrong things like character and self-discipline for starters, and you can use this model to design for change in behavior in yourself and in other people. B equals map. Behavior happens when motivation and ability and prompt converge at the same moment. So let's take a little closer look at this behavioral model with the following graph. So the Fogg behavior model shows that 3 elements must converge at the same moment for a behavior to occur or to happen. Those 3 are motivation, ability, and a prompt. That's where we get the map. When a behavior does not occur, at least one of those 3 elements is missing. So let's look at it this way. We have this red dot here, okay? We have on this side of the motivation, we have low motivation and high motivation. We have something that's hard to do and something that's easy to do. And then this is the action line here. And we want to be to the right of the action line. That's the succeed side. And to the left is the fail side. So we want to get out here somewhere. So here's the problem. If we have low motivation, okay, about something, and it's hard to do, we're going to be in this big area of failure, okay? But if our motivation is high enough, look here, it doesn't matter how hard it is, we can get it done over here. And likewise, if something's really easy to do, we don't need as much motivation to get on the right side of the line also. So these things all go together. The idea that the motivation, the ability, and the prompt have to converge at the same time to get on the success side of the action line. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense for us. So the anatomy of tiny habits. 1, anchor moment. An existing routine, like brushing your teeth or an event that happens like the phone ringing. The anchor moment reminds you to do the new tiny behavior. Number 2, new tiny behavior. A simple version of the new habit you want, such as flossing one tooth or doing 2 push ups. You do the tiny behavior immediately after the anchor moment. And 3, instant celebration. Something you do to create positive emotions, such as saying, I did a good job. You celebrate immediately after doing the new tiny behavior. So here we have at the bottom the 3 things again: the anchor, the behavior, and the celebration. So this is the anatomy. This is kind of the formula. First off, there's an anchor moment, okay? And the cool thing is there's a lot of anchor moments and opportunities for anchor moments in your existing routine, like brushing your teeth, or when the phone rings, or when you walk in and maybe hang your coat up, or put your hat away, or when you go to put your shoes on in the morning. Whatever it be, there are many existing routines already in your life that you can use as an anchor moment. And these anchor moments are designed to remind you to do the new tiny behavior. And then the new tiny behavior, you want to start simple. Maybe 2 push-ups to start with. But the idea is, the important part is that you do the tiny behavior immediately after the anchor moment. So if you decide that, okay, my anchor moment for doing 2 push-ups is going to be right after I put my shoes on. So right after you finish tying your shoes, immediately you do your 2 push-ups. And then number 3, you do an instant little celebration. Create a little positive emotion, such as saying, I did a good job, or pumping your fist and saying, yeah, whatever it is. But you celebrate immediately after doing the tiny behavior. And this is the anatomy of tiny habits. This is kind of the formula. It looks really simple because it is, but it is quite profound. Okay, moving on, anchor prompts. We'll look at these in a little more detail. You already have a lot of reliable routines, and each of them can serve as an anchor prompt for a new habit. You put your feet on the floor in the morning. You boil water for tea, or you turn on the coffee maker. You flush the toilet. You drop your kid off at school. You hang up your coat when you walk through the door at the end of the day. You put your head on the pillow every night. These actions are already embedded into your life so seamlessly and naturally that you don't have to think about them. And because of that, they make fantastic prompts. It's an elegant design solution because it's so natural. You already have an entire ecosystem of routines humming along nicely. You just have to tap into it. Action prompts are so much more useful than person prompts and context prompts that I've given them a name: anchors. When talking about tiny habits, I use the term anchor to describe something in your life that is already stable and solid. The concept is pretty simple. If there is a habit you want, find the right anchor within your current routine to serve as your prompt or your reminder. I selected the term anchor because you are attaching your new habit to something solid and reliable. Okay, moving on. Get your shine on, aka don't forget to celebrate. Remember, it's a simple but profound formula, but you got to use all the pieces, and especially the celebration piece. What might surprise you is this. In English, we do not have a perfect word to describe the positive feeling we get from experiencing success. I've read piles of scientific literature on related topics, and I've done my own research in this area, and I'm convinced that we are lacking a good word. The closest label is authentic pride, but that's not an exact match. So with the encouragement of 3 of the world's experts on human emotion, I decided to create a new word for this feeling of success. Ready? I call this feeling shine. You know this feeling already. You feel shine when you ace an exam. You feel shine when you give a great presentation and people clap at the end. You feel shine when you smell something delicious that you cooked for the first time. I believe my celebration technique is a breakthrough in habit formation. I hope you can see why. By skillfully celebrating, you create a feeling of shine, which in turn causes your brain to encode the new habit. Again, it's simple, but very effective. If I could teach you tiny habits in person, I would start our training by focusing on celebrations. I would help you find celebrations that are natural and effective for you. We would practice them together and it would be a blast. I would train you in celebrations for teaching you about the Fogg behavior model or the power of simplicity or anchors or recipes for tiny habits. Celebrations would be first because it's the most important skill for creating habits. Don't miss this. Celebration is the most important skill for creating habits. Right after we do the tiny thing we said we'd do, we give ourselves a little fist pump and yes, or whatever it is you naturally do when you do something awesome. Take a moment and think about what you do when something awesome happens. Then do that as you install your tiny habit. The basic idea is when we do that immediately after taking action, not in a month after or a bunch of little wins lead to a big win, but right after we do it, we hack our brains to give us a little burst of dopamine, and that activates our reward centers and makes our habits much more likely to stick, and stick at a much faster velocity. So, tiny habits, the summary, the big ideas we looked at is B, behavior equals map. That is the elements of behavior. The motivation, the ability, and the prompt all have to converge at the same time for behavior to happen. And of course, the ABCs, the anchor, behavior, and celebrations, that's the anatomy of tiny habits. Anchor and prompts is after I anchor, I will new habit. After I put my shoes on, anchor, I will do my push-ups, the new habit. And then get your shine on. Don't forget to celebrate. After you do those 2 push-ups, stand up, put a big smile on your face and say, yes, I'm a winner. Or whatever it is that makes you feel good. But the celebration part is so, so important. So I love this tiny habits. Hopefully this is a little bit of ammunition for the new year. Hopefully you can use some of these strategies to make some tiny habits that will add up to some huge changes in your life for the better for the year ahead, my friends. Well, again, this is Keck with Builderall, your information products training and support specialist. Thanks for joining me for today's Motivation Monday. I encourage you to make some tiny habits for yourself as we build it with Builderall. Ciao for now, friends.